As we journey from one life to another, we accumulate experiences, learn lessons, and fulfill missions. This evolutionary process determines the age of the soul, which refers to how much an entity has evolved through its experiences on Earth, not just how many lives it has lived. There are 5 stages, that souls go through during their incarnations in the physical realm. The newborn souls. The soul that has just come to Earth is usually caught up in the struggle for survival in the physical realm, which is still unfamiliar. Thus, the stage of the newborn soul is characterized by many fears. In this stage, people are born in tribal, almost primitive, conditions. Their main concern is survival. Newborn souls learn to find sources of food, build shelters, and defend themselves from predators. People with a newborn soul can seem quite rough and unrefined. They are often found in the midst of all kinds of natural disasters and dangers. As a positive aspect, being so recently close to Source, they have an aura of purity and mysticism. They are very intuitive and like to live in the moment. They resonate very strongly with nature and often feel not like individuals but part of a whole, being very connected to the tribe, family, and group they belong to. Consciousness is not fully developed at this stage, so they will not be very inclined towards ethics or a personal moral code. The newborn soul needs to learn what is good and what is bad. Regarding food preparation, newborn souls will not have refined tastes, and food will be considered strictly a necessity for survival and not a way to enjoy the pleasure of taste. Love will be experienced at an instinctual level. They will not wonder how to win over a potential partner or how to make themselves more pleasing. They can even be inclined towards violence or an extreme instinct of self-defense when they feel threatened. Newborn souls tend to cluster in equatorial regions due to the climate that makes survival easier, Amazon basin, countries in Africa, the Middle East, etc. Modern society is too complex for souls in this stage to feel comfortable. In rare cases where a newborn soul appears in an economically developed country, it will tend to isolate itself, not seeking a stable job and avoiding taking responsibility for its actions. Many of the considered dangerous criminals have been newborn souls. In those cases, extreme narcissism and the lack of manifestation of consciousness or regrets for their actions have been observed. The planet Earth is approaching the time when the last newborn soul will incarnate. Fewer and fewer entities in this stage will want to come here because they would find themselves thrown into the unpleasant game of recovering the difference from the predominant collective consciousness, which is heading towards maturity. Child souls. Because there is already a minimal life experience on Earth, we observe less fear and a greater degree of development. Survival has already been assimilated, now is the time to become civilized and demonstrate that we can live correctly. Structure and authority help child souls feel comfortable in the world. They will want to be directed and will seek out those who can provide clear rules. In this stage, priests, doctors, political or military leaders will be looked upon with particular respect as representatives of authority. Anything related to traditions, rituals, law and order will offer a sense of security. This is the rule and this is what we will do is the typical mode of thinking. The difference between good and evil will be made in a dogmatic, black and white manner. In general, they are conscientious and upright citizens who will try as much as possible to do what is right, moral and social. As a negative aspect, religious extremism and anti-racist organizations have been the product of this stage of development. Child souls prefer to be big fish in a small pond and will be found in small communities where life is simple and where they can assume roles as pillars of society, mayors, sheriffs, members of town councils, etc. They cannot stand to be contradicted and consider that they are always right, finding it very difficult to conceive and accept the idea of opposition or a new way of thinking. This is not a stage of introspection. Child souls have a strong sense of patriotism and will feel justified in fighting for the principles they believe in, but they will do so in a dogmatic and limited mentality. They are almost obsessed with cleanliness and removing all germs. Most health problems often stem from repressed anger or other emotional blockages. Kidney stones, gallstones, lower back pain are frequent. When faced with such problems, they will always prefer conventional medicine, pills, and surgical interventions. With regards to sexuality, they will not feel comfortable and often manifest shame or guilt. Their natural tendency will be to hide their bodies and not express their sensuality, puritanical attitude. On the other hand, the sense of family is very developed during this period. They feel the need to raise many children, socialize with all relatives, celebrate holidays and social events with community members. Mature souls. At the end of the young soul stage, there is a sense of restlessness as if something is missing. It seems that all the wealth, power, and fame are no longer enough. Profit and gain lose their value. Thus begins the search for the mature soul. It is the stage of existential questions: who am I? Why am I here? Emotions come to the surface, barriers between people are broken. There is a need for communication, for analyzing feelings that have so far been put on the back burner. If attention was focused on the outside in previous stages, attention now shifts to the inside. Everything comes to the surface: pain, love, depression, and everything is intensely experienced. The feeling of vulnerability appears, and there is an attempt to heal past wounds. In countries with mature souls, more attention is paid to social relationships than to the accumulation of material goods: Italy, Greece, Mexico. Another characteristic is political instability and the constant search for the right formula for governance. Mature souls seek the company of other souls who are on the same wavelength and with whom they can share their passions: music, art, theater, refined cuisine. Non-traditional religions, meditation, metaphysics, and esotericism are appreciated and practiced with interest. Old souls. Old souls feel the connection between all people and feel part of a whole. They have the ability to see the big picture and try to live in such a way that they do no harm and do not judge others. They are concerned with maintaining their ethical principles. They are more detached from the emotional intensity of the mature soul and are able to be more objective about the ups and downs of life. Having experienced dozens of lives in a variety of cultures and social classes, these souls no longer get caught up in the game of control and have the ability to remain impartial, in a balanced and peaceful way. Old souls seem to be out of sync with the times, never in step with norms, are unusual, tend to follow their own perceptions and desires, and this can make them appear eccentric. They are very motivated to develop spiritually but lack enthusiasm when it comes to achieving material success. They rarely do what they don't want to do, preferring to follow their own path even if it is unconventional. Often they will choose a low-stress job that allows them to focus their energy on spiritual development. Old souls are usually very competent in many areas due to their accumulated experience. However, they will prefer those activities that support their evolution: counselors, teachers, coaches, etc. On the list of priorities of these souls, fashionable clothes, jewelry, or the latest cars will not be present. Nor will be jobs with strict schedules. There is a kind of laziness on the material plane, and this can create a difficulty in paying bills, but old souls have an advantage. As they advance in knowledge, goals can be achieved with less effort. The old soul can explore many religions and esoteric systems, being most attracted to those with which it resonated in past lives. Because the stage of material prosperity has already been overcome, the soul will no longer want to recreate those situations, being concerned only with learning philosophical and spiritual lessons. In certain cases, essence may end up hindering the accumulation of money when this material attachment is in danger of affecting spiritual development. Problems arise when the human personality will try to make money by all means, feeling uncomfortable in the existing environment. However, as long as the essence receives what it truly wants, spiritual nourishment, material prosperity will not be blocked. An important lesson of the old soul period is that of self-respect, self-love, and self-forgiveness. Living in the midst of a predominantly young society, old souls will feel unappreciated and left out. Another challenge is to learn to live in the body and to make life pleasant, to enjoy the physical plane. To compensate for karmic imbalances, the old soul will have the sex of the body they least prefer. However, having lived in so many lives both as a woman and as a man, energies will mix to such an extent that it will sometimes be difficult for them to identify with a single version. In sexual activity, they will seek total tantric communion on the level of all chakras. Children who have old souls are generally very quiet and peaceful. Individuals who have an old soul may not be recognized or valued by society, but they bring a unique perspective to the world and have much to offer in terms of wisdom and compassion. Infinite souls are direct manifestations of the Source. They are souls that contain an entire universe in their consciousness. Their energy is so great that they never remain in the physical plane for long because no body could sustain them. Buddha and Jesus are such souls. It is said that Earth is to be visited by 4 or 5 such incredible souls, representing different races and both sexes, androgynous, in the next 20 years. Their message is always the same: love one another and love the Earth.